Well, good morning. Sorry we're late. I trust that you are well. My name is William Austin. We don't do lives very often, but sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes we have to do a live. It is a good thing. I don't know if we have hang on audio, but we're going to see. Let's see here. Nope, that seems to be okay. Hmm. Audio? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's find out. Again, trust that you are well today. There's lots and lots and lots. We have audio. We There's lots to talk about. Hang on a second here. My monitor. Turn that off. Now, if you haven't checked out our regular channel here on fightbackmedia.com, please do that if you happen to come across this live. If you're up late on Friday into Saturday morning and you haven't checked out our channel, please do. It is what I'm calling at this point a micro channel. There's a lot of conservative channels out there, and that are a lot bigger than us. As a matter of fact, one of the things that is frustrating about a lot of people who have micro channels like myself and my friend Paul Swanson of paulswanson.com, check that out too, is that as soon as they could, a lot of the large creators hopped in to the YouTube game. They hopped into the Rumble game. They hopped into all the social media games that they weren't in before. That some of us have been in for a long time. People, I always say the Willie Lawson Show podcast or the Fight Back Media podcast or the Rational Black Man podcast was we were podcasting before podcasting was cool. And so what happens is that these large entities, Mark Levin hops in on Rumble and sucks all the oxygen out of the conservative movement on Twitter because he's Mark Levin. He's got a following of a few million people. So that's fine, except that it's not fine. So people like, our channel have to just do this. We have to just keep hammering away. So we end up doing lives at like quarter to 5, quarter after 12, in the morning, hoping that somebody happens by. And we just keep producing content. I think really the idea is to keep producing content. If anyone else wants to be in this niche, it's a very, very competitive niche. And people are very habitual about it, extremely habitual. They simply do what they always do, is what I'm saying. So it's tough that way, and you really have to know that going in. But this will be an example today of how we do it, what we normally do. There's normally a nice intro. I couldn't figure out how to do intro on a live. My problem. But we talk about what important stories are going on. Before we get started with that, I want to, as the head of Fight Back Media and Willie, we like to send our condolences to the families and the friends of those that were lost in that submersible accident that had gone down to see the wreck of the Titanic. I just can't imagine the horror of it. And again, our prayers go out to the family and the friends of those that are involved in that endeavor. A lot of people are saying a lot of things. James Cameron has a video out saying a lot of things, but 2020, hindsight is 2020, and there's a lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda out there, and they should have done this, and they could have done this, and they should have done this. The fact of the matter is that I guess there's a place for that conversation, but we're not going to have that conversation here. We're just going to pray for it. We're going to pray for the families that are left behind and the friends that are left behind. because they're hurting right now. And what a horrific way to die. All right. We know that the 2024 presidential election is about to happen. It seems like it's going to happen tomorrow. It isn't going to happen tomorrow, but it seems like it could happen tomorrow. It's going to happen in a little bit, in November of 2024. I'm going to go ahead and put this on Twitter. I think I can figure out how to do that. There we go. We're going to go ahead and click on that and see if. All right. Well, just saw a ridiculous tweet from this woman. If your skin's not brown, you need my permission to speak. No, nobody needs your permission to speak. All right. Any case, for those of you who are going to be coming in soon from Twitter, possibly, let me click over here. There you go. All right. My governor of my state, Ron DeSantis, is running for president. And the dude, frankly, is kind of hardcore. No, he's not kind of hardcore. He's extremely hardcore. And the left hates this guy. And you know what? A lot of pro-Trump supporters hate this guy too. Now, here's the article from townhall.com. Liberals love to pull the race card out every chance they get. I used to joke with my friends, I don't have a race card. I've got a deck of freaking race cards. And we would joke, I would just say, anything you said, cause I'm black. So you're all Gator fans. Yeah, I'm a Seminole fan. You know why you don't like the Seminoles? They go, why? Because I'm black. So I'm an algebra person and you're all geometry people. You know why you don't like algebra? Because I'm black. that was our joke when I worked in a high school. But in any case, they love to pull a race card. And they did just that when 2024 GOP presidential candidate Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, commented on NBA players. Some left-wing outlets accused DeSantis of racism after gushing about his love for basketball, praising it as a meteoric game where people of different sizes and skill levels can perform well at various positions. He later compared the sport to basketball. He just loved his. I mean, I'm sorry. He loved. He really likes baseball. You know, it's a game where people from different sizes and skill levels can perform in different positions. Not everybody has got to be, 6'10". Not everybody, like in football, has to be 6'5", 314 pounds. A lot of quote normal sized people who have great skills can play baseball. This is what he said. I think there's kind of a place for everybody in a baseball team if you're willing to work hard, if you're willing to practice. I kind of thought it was always a very democratic game, a very, very meteoric game, the Florida governor said, calling basketball players incredible athletes, and they are. DeSantis said he views them as freaks of nature, However, in baseball, the governor explained how players may not necessarily be the best athletes, but possess the skills that allow them to compete at the highest levels. So, of course, the left thinks that in DeSantis' eyes, the NBA players that are predominantly black are freaks. Now, here's the wanton, ridiculous stupidity in the left. Here it is. How many people do you know that are 6'11", 7'1"? If it weren't for basketball, these people walking the planet would be giants and freaks. They would be people who were in fairs. And a lot of people don't realize that when you used to go to the state fair, you had some barker out there going, only for 10 cents, come and see the world's tallest man. And and you go for a dime up and you see some dude sitting back there in the chair and standing up and waving, and you pay 10 cents to see him, and you're like, that dude's huge, right? Or you'd go and shake his hand and he'd be monstrous, but he'd probably be 7 foot. Yeah. Now, of course, forget it that DeSantis did say that these dudes are incredible athletes, but they'd be kind of freaks because a lot of them are super tall. You don't see a lot of, I don't know, 5'10" dudes playing basketball. You just don't, because you don't. So, of course, USA Today columnist Mike Freeman, who's a jerk, decried the governor's remarks, accusing him of pushing racist tropes and calling him one of the most prominent anti-black politicians alive. Speaking of tropes, but anyway, DeSantis was essentially talking about two leagues and how one, mostly black, the NBA, is full of freaky athletes with fast twitch muscles. He didn't say anything about that, and apparently not as democratic or meteoric as whatever Craddock as baseball players Freeman claimed. Then, according to DeSantis, there's baseball, or there's the MLB, the mostly white sport. Actually, it's mostly Hispanic, but full of okay athletes, but gosh darn, do they work hard and form democracies and meteorocracy republics. They're not freaks at all. They're real Americans. Now, of course, Mike Freeman knows doggone well that that's not what the president, what the governor said at all. You and I know that in order to play in the NBA, you're not going to be 5'8". But you know what you can do at 5'8"? And not even be the level of athlete that LeBron James is or Steph Curry. You play shortstop in Major League Baseball. There's a very specific set of skills you have to have. You have to be athletic at some point, but you don't have to be that same level of athlete. You don't have to have the fast switch muscle. You don't have to be able to run as far. You don't have to be able to run the court in 84 feet in 4 steps. You don't have to be able to do that. And anybody who plays any of these sports knows exactly what the governor was talking about. Knows exactly what the governor was talking about. They do. So this whole idea that this is some sort of racist tropes is the most ridiculous, outrageous thing that can be said. And shame on Mike Freeman. Freeman, shame on you. Shame on you for trying to stir some stuff up. If you don't like what the governor's policies are, that's one thing. But it is just weak sauce, constant weak sauce about weak sauce. So let's go to policies. Let's go to things that have worked in his administration and that have not worked. Let's call balls and strikes, so to speak. Let's do that. The governor doesn't prefer baseball over basketball because basketball is full of black people. That's just, how can I say this politely? I can't. That's a statement ate up with the dumbass. Ate up with the dumbass. Here's what else he continues to say. DeSantis decided to obviously disparage the mostly black league by relying on a disgustingly racist trope. It has been around for centuries. Centuries? And reduces the value of black people to their bodies. We're talking about sports. We're talking about athletic events. Baseball, basketball. McDuffie said, however, the GOP has relished being the party of white supremacy. So the Florida governor's latest remarks check out. Now I know, for some of you who watch me all the time, let me help you with this. I'm going to help you with this. Screw them. When you hear this stuff, when you read this stuff, screw them. Take your copy of USA Today and put it in the bottom of your cat box. Just put it in the bottom of your bird cage. because that's all it's good for. That's all it's good for. Screw these people. Screw Candace McDuffie. Screw from the Root. Screw Freeman from USA. Screw them. Because they're morons, apparently. They are racist morons. They are the denizen of division that get off and get paid by making sure that there's a division in Americans. That's their goal. It just is. And they're lazy because it's certainly easy just to say, well, you're racist. It's super easy to do that. It's just incredibly easy to do that. It's lazy. Because, again, let's talk about policy. Let's talk about things that have worked, things that haven't worked. Let's call balls and strikes. Tried this legislation, it failed. Bring it up. Talk about it honestly. This piece of legislation, this law, this procedure, whatever, we brought it up, tried it, it worked like a charm. Fine, let's talk about that. But this constant drumbeat of it is just old and not helpful. Just not helpful at all. However, conservatives blasted the liberal reporter saying everything should not be about race. Now, let's say, now, there are certain things that are. There just are. There are. You know, I remember Jimmy the Greek losing his job at CBS years ago. I mean, years ago, 30 years ago or so, because he happened to speak the truth about, you know what, there are some sports that Black people are genetically predisposed to be better at. Genetically predisposed. Now, the left wants you to believe that genetics don't matter. So some dude could wake up tomorrow and go, sometimes I feel like I have nuts, sometimes I don't. The left wants you to believe that a fully intact male can have a baby. A fully intact male can have a period because he says he's having a period. So I guess they don't really believe in science and they really don't believe in genetics. So Jimmy the Greek lost his job because of it. Howard Cosell lost his job by Morris, running back for New York, on Monday night. Look at that monkey run. Oops. I don't think that Cosell meant that in a purely racist way. He might have. I don't know. Hard to say. Howard Cosell is dead, as far as I know, so we're just not going to talk about what his intentions were because he's not here to defend himself. But DeSantis is correct in that baseball is a game of athleticism. Outkick Bobby Burke said, baseball is less so. Turn on both the NBA and the MLB. You can't dispute that. If I'm playing right field for the Tampa Bay Rays, I do not have to be at the level of Steph Curry. I just don't. I just don't. If I'm playing first base, I don't have to be at the same athletic level as LeBron James. And anybody playing first base will tell you so. Freeman only sees color. He views every story and comments through the lens of race. Race permeates every thought he publicizes. You know what they call that over here at Fight Back Media? You know what we call people who see everything through the lens of race? Racist. That's what we call them. If you see everything, every single thing through the lens of race, that makes you a racist. It just does. So when you hear these people, when you read their articles, when you see them on TV, and every time you see them, they're talking about race because they're racist. Nothing can just be. Nothing is just is. Everything is because of racism. Everything. That's the same things you hear from people in the Klan. That's the very same writings you'd read from the people in the Whites of Night, the Knights of White Chameleons. That's the same sort of stuff you hear from the skinheads. Very same stuff. They see everything through the eyes of race, and so do these people. What do you think? Write down in the comments. Follow us on Twitter at RBM Show. Follow us on Twitter at RBM Show. Follow us on Instagram at Fightback Media. Follow us on Facebook at Fightback Media. And the Morning Report at Fightback Media. Go right ahead. We appreciate that. All right. Go to the website, fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. Follow us on TikTok, fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. Like I say, we out here. We are out here. All right. We are living in a bizarre time where the sitting president has instructed his Department of Justice to arrest his probably most prominent political rival. You never thought that would happen in America. If 30 years ago, if we talked about, well, what's going to happen, someone's going to be in office and they're just going to have their opponent arrested, we would have laughed at you. We would have said, you're a bit conspiratorialist, aren't you? You're probably the person who believes that, there wasn't a moon landing, that was all done on Hollywood on soundstage. We think that you're that person. However, here we are. In 2023, a sitting president has directed his Department of Justice to arrest his most prominent political rival in an election season. Absolutely amazing. All while this is going on, the Biden corruption story is becoming pretty messy. As the president's son, Hunter Biden's stay at Chateau Marmont, gaining traction outside of just the conservative media here. The Biden White House knew bad news was coming this week. Thursday saw the House Ways and Means Committee reveal credible testimony from IRS whistleblowers that they were hamstrung in their investigation of Hunter Biden. Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss wanted to charge Hunter in March of 2022, but was blocked. It also doesn't help that everyone can see through Hunter's recent plea deal, where he'll avoid jail on gun and tax evasion charges, that might put up some fires. But there's an emerging wildfire emanating from the alleged bribery scheme Hunter and Joe Biden played with Burisma Holdings and co-founder Mykola Zlochevsky, I'll get it, who not only reportedly had a ledger and a taped conversations with the men, but also reported was also a reported Russian intelligence asset. Now, we all saw the video where Biden is flexing, saying, we wanted the prosecutor fired, and he was getting on a plane in 6 hours. And if they didn't fire the prosecutor, they weren't getting the money. Well, son of a bitch, he got fired. If that's not quid pro quo, I don't know what quid pro quo is. That's what it is. So anyway, concerning the IRS whistleblowers, a bombshell development in the story where the WhatsApp message release was infuriated Hunter's attorneys. It seemed to the point to Hunter was asking a Chinese businessman what happened to his payments. Where my money? I need my crack. IRS Criminal Supervisory Special Agent Gary Shapley Jr. obtained these encrypted communications through a search warrant. Hunter sent the message to Henry Shao, which is funny, good friend of mine, different spelling of a name, CEO of Harvest Flush Management on July 30th, 2017. Here's the message. I am sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director I would like to resolve this now, before it gets out of hand. And that means tonight. So this development led to a full court press on White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre this afternoon. She did not like it. She did not like it at all. As a matter of fact, she just walked off the stage. And it wasn't just Peter Doocy asking her questions. Yes, Peter Doocy did ask her what my bunch of questions, but it wasn't just Peter Doocy asking her questions. This is starting to get out. This is starting to be a problem. Agent Shapley did give an interview to CBS News in May, which was quite damning to the Department of Justice. Specifically, Attorney General Merrick Garland. I am so glad that he is not on the Supreme Court, who it would seem should face an inquiry regarding perjury. Garland said his office did not restrict the investigation. Somebody is lying. When the Attorney General of Delaware said, I wanted to bring charges and was told not to, Merrick Garland said, how much are you talking about? One of these people is lying. This is the level of banana republic we've got going on in Washington. I understand Donald Trump can be a crap show easily. I get it. But Donald Trump's not in office right now. And all these things are happening and have been happening in and around the Bidens. What do you think? How is this working out for you? How do you see any of this? How do you see any of this changing? Or is it going to change? Write it down in the comments. What do you think about the censure of Adam Schiff? Oh, I know what we think about it here at Fight Back Media. We don't. Doesn't mean anything. Now, it might used to have meant something when people cared about Shane, people cared about these kind of things, but nobody gives a rat's ass. So it's something that has to be a one of those things where, okay, we had to do it. It's all we could really get done. But that doesn't kick him out of Congress. Obviously, it's not a situation where you can fine him. So Congress, wag their finger at him. Is a piece of human garbage, my view. But this won't accomplish anything. You saw what happened. He's leaving the House floor, and the Democrats are rallying behind him. They're Adam. Dude just got censored. Now, if this would happen to a Republican, a lot of people on the left would have been calling for his resignation or her resignation. This is how you can tell most of this is BS. We got to get out of here and make room for somebody else. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. This has been Friday Night Live with Willie Lawson here from fightbackmedia.com. See you when we see you. Bye now.